25 years ago, Legally Blonde introduced audiences to one of the most iconic female characters in the modern era. Elle Woods wasn't just funny or fashionable, she challenged the very idea that femininity and intelligence couldn't exist together, and in doing so became a character who has inspired audiences for more than 2 decades. So when Amazon announced a prequel series, I was excited, but I was also incredibly nervous. All these questions were bubbling in my head, like why move Elle to Seattle? Why make her a new girl in a new school? Haven't we done that kind of before? And if the story was going to be so different, why not simply create a brand new character instead of using the legacy of Elle Woods? I genuinely couldn't understand why the story needed to be about Elle Woods. But then I watched all 8 episodes in one sitting yesterday, and somewhere along the way of watching this series, something unexpected happened for me. I didn't just end up loving the series, I found myself falling in love with Elle Woods all over again. But it also left me with one question I'm still thinking about, and it's exactly what I want to talk to you about today. But before we do that, hello everybody, my name is Cassidy Krieger. I forgot to turn my light on, I just did, so it didn't just appear on. I'm from Hollywoodland Photos, where we explore the people, films and stories that shaped Hollywood. If this is your kind of thing, I'd love to have you here, so don't forget to subscribe. So before we talk about the series, I think we need to talk about why Legally Blonde has endured for 25 years. To be completely honest, I adore Legally Blonde. I always have. It's a big part of my childhood. It's one of the films I can keep coming back to over and over again, and every single time I watch it, I'm reminded why Elle Woods became such an enduring, iconic character, and a lot of it is thanks to Reese Witherspoon's groundbreaking and incredible performance. But if I'm being completely honest, I might love the musical even more. I think it's one of the greatest movie to musical adaptations ever made. It takes everything that worked in the film and somehow expands on it without ever losing the heart of who Elle Woods is. I was also obsessed with the soundtrack during my MS diagnosis, so when I hear Elle Woods sing I Am So Much Better Than Before, it's very, very personal to me. I think people often remember the wrong things about Legally Blonde. They remember the pink outfits, Bruiser, the bend and snap, the what, like it's hard. But that's not why this film became a classic, because to me, Elle Woods is one of the greatest female protagonists ever written because she completely subverts our expectations. Every person she meets underestimates her. They assume she's superficial because she's blonde, from Los Angeles, because she loves fashion, and because she's unapologetically feminine. As an actor, that's one of the things I've always admired most about Reese's performance and about the writing, because Elle's journey isn't about becoming someone else. It's about discovering that she's capable of so much more than she ever believed. That's also why I'm so protective of this series, because it wasn't that I was worried that someone else could play Elle Woods. I was worried about whether the writers truly understood what made Elle Woods so unique in the first place. So going into the first episode, my concerns didn't disappear. If anything, they got a bit stronger. The move to Seattle made me immediately question whether this really felt like Elle Woods' story. The lunchroom scene made me feel like I was watching Mean Girls, and I kept asking myself the same question over and over. If the story wasn't Elle Woods, would it still work? But somewhere in the middle of the 8-episode season, I realized something. I wasn't looking for reasons that the series couldn't work anymore. I stopped comparing every scene and every moment to Legally Blonde. I wasn't questioning every creative decision. I was simply just enjoying spending time with these characters. Because if there was one person who had the most pressure on their shoulders going into this series, it was Lexi Mindtree. Playing a younger version of Elle Woods would feel like an almost impossible task. It would have been so easy to fall into the trap of simply doing a Reese Witherspoon impression, but thankfully, it's not what she does. She captures the optimism, the warmth, and the sincerity that made Reese's performance so memorable, but she never feels like she's copying it. Every now and then you'll catch a familiar smile or a rhythm in the way that she delivers a line, and sometimes her side profile was so much like Reese's, it was frightening. But it never feels like an impression or an impersonation. It feels like a younger version of Elle Woods. I was also happy to see little glimpses of Laura Bell Bundy's Elle Woods from the musical throughout Lexi's performance, and not because she's imitating either actress, but because she seemed to understand the essence of both performances. I honestly, and this is big coming from me, couldn't have pictured better casting for young Elle Woods. I thought Lexi was phenomenal. The only issue I have with the casting has nothing to do with the performances. I was watching this and watching the teenagers in high school and felt like I was watching a little bit of Grease. You know, the Grease syndrome where Hollywood seems reluctant to cast actual teenagers to play teenagers. I think Lexi was 20. I think she's 26 now, and she's playing, or 25, and she's playing a 16-year-old. And she's so phenomenal that she gets away with it. And you can tell the other actors are older too than 16. You're looking at them going, you guys should be in college. But it's enjoyable. You can forget about it. You can suspend your disbelief for 8 hours. And if we're talking about performances, can we talk about June Diane Raphael as Elle's mum, Eva? She was an absolute scene stealer. Her comedic timing was perfection. And somehow she made stupid lines like, your neck is the pedestal to the face, sound perfectly believable. And I had to show off my neck to prove that. It's so stupid. And I have to mention James Van Der Beek. Knowing this was his final screen performance made his scenes especially emotional. I didn't know he was in this until he popped up and I was like, hang on. He really was an excellent actor, and it's so sad. It's just so sad. Cancer is a beast. But as much as I really did love the series, I flew through those 8 hours. I didn't think I'd get through it in one day, but I did. It left me with one question I haven't been able to answer still. Did Elle Woods actually need an origin story? Is Legally Blonde not an origin story? That's not saying that this series shouldn't exist. Quite the opposite. I actually cannot wait for season 2. But Legally Blonde contains one of the best character arcs ever written. Elle begins the film believing that if she changes her circumstances, she'll get the life she wants. But by the end, she realizes her value was never determined by Warner or by Harvard or by anyone else's opinion of her. So putting her in this brand new setting, giving her another coming of age story to work through, part of me wondered if it was taking away from something that already worked perfectly and worked 25 years ago. But maybe that's the wrong question to ask, because instead of asking whether this fits alongside the original film, I started asking whether it understands Elle Woods. Because if you notice in like the tagline of this series, it says from the world of Legally Blonde. So maybe we're meant to just know that this isn't the film's Legally Blonde, it's the film's Elle Woods. It's this series' own Elle Woods. For me, the series completely understood Elle Woods. It understood her kindness, her optimism. That's the Elle Woods I wanted to see, and I don't think a brand new character in a whole new setting would have got me there in the same way. So I didn't just fall in love with the series, I fell in love with Elle Woods all over again. I would love to know if you've seen the series, what you think of it. I think if you can separate it from Legally Blonde, you'll enjoy it. If you're trying to marry it up with Legally Blonde too much, you're going to get swept up and things not working. I love the little hints to like, you should be a lawyer and I object and Woods, Elle. I love little nuggets to Legally Blonde, but if you let it be its own separate piece, it's really fun. And like I said, I don't think I would have enjoyed it as much, and I probably wouldn't have watched it. I don't watch teen series. I'm 31. So yeah, I think they made the right decision. Reese Witherspoon produced it, and I think they all made the right call. It's fun, and not everything has to be taken so seriously. Everyone's saying, oh, they shouldn't have done it. Why? It's fun. And I enjoyed it. So if they made it for me, thank you. Let me know in the comments if you've watched it, what you love about Legally Blonde. If you love the musical more than the movie like I do. I always feel like I shouldn't say that, but it's true. I just love the musical. I know that soundtrack inside and out, backwards, front. I know it like I know myself. So let me know if you love the musical too. And thank you so much for watching. And if you're an Elvis viewer that's watching this going, why is she talking about Legally Blonde when she talks about Elvis all the time? I'm back to Elvis next, don't worry. It's having a little Elvis break. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.